Ajmina,
Present, Miss.
Amaya, Amaya, Atulya,
Present, Miss.
Drishya,
Present, Miss.
Jyotish,
Present, Miss.
Karthik,
Present, Miss.
Avya,
Present, Miss.
Nachiket,
Present, Miss.
who's that? Neeraj,
Present, Miss.
Rangeet, Vaishna, Vaishnav, Anjali,
Present, Miss.
Shruti.
Present, Miss.
Okay, Afla is there? No. Amaya? No. Nachiket? No. Okay. Then Rangeet and Vaishna. Okay. Okay, good morning all of you.
Good morning, Miss.
Now, last class, what we have learned? Who will be summarizing? I have told that I'll be asking each one the questions. Register number 2, Ajmina. What are the different types of transmission media?
മിസ് അഫ്ലക്ക് കയറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല പറയുന്നുണ്ട്.
That I cannot do anything because you have to contact your class advisor. It's because through my personal mail I have just entered. You just tell her to contact the staff advisor. Then, okay, Ajmina is there?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, tell, what are the different types of transmission media?
Guided transmission media, unguided transmission media.
Okay, now what are the different types of guided transmission media?
Twisted pair, coaxial, fiber, optic.
Okay, now register number 3. Amaya is not there, right? Okay, now register number 4 then. Atulya. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages of twisted pair cable?
Twisted.
Advantages and disadvantages of twisted pair cable. Let's answer fast because time is going. What are the advantages?
Reduce EMI, electromagnetic radiation. Then
It is not
limited
induction, it
bandwidth.
is interference.
Eh?
It is interference, not induction. Electron. Okay.
Limited bandwidth.
Okay, that is the disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Advantages are, since you are making use of copper, it is very cheap and the cost is also less. And also, since twisting is done, the electromagnetic interference will be reduced. Now, what are the applications where it is being used, the twisted pair cable?
Telephone use ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay.
Within the building, local area network.
Okay. Now, who will be telling what are the advantages and disadvantages of coaxial cable? Amaya. What are the advantages and disadvantages of coaxial cable?
Coaxial cable.
Yeah.
Advantages easy to implement,
Okay.
used for long distance,
It supports higher frequency range of signals. Then what is its disadvantage? Is there any disadvantage in coaxial, or what are the, you tell what are the applications of coaxial cable, where it is being used?
Used in TV distributions,
Okay, then,
local area network,
okay,
most versatile medium.
okay, okay, thank you. Now, we were discussing about the three types of transmission media. One is the twisted pair, the coaxial cable, and the fiber optics. Fiber optics, I have told the principle of fiber optics cable and also the propagation modes of fiber optics. Now, today we will be just seeing what are the advantages and disadvantages of this optical fiber. Advantages and disadvantages of this optical fiber. Now, mainly the advantage of this optical fiber, when you are comparing twisted pair as well as this coaxial cable, the major advantage is, first one is the noise resistance. Now, what is the meaning of that noise resistance? You know, you are making use of, rather than the electricity, the transmission is done in the form of light. So the noise is not a factor there. Only problem what it happens is external light, if something is, that can create some interference. And that will be blocked from the channel by the outer jacket. I have told yesterday the construction of how the fiber optic cable is constructed. So because of the outer jacket, the only possible interference, that is nothing but the external light, that is also blocked in case of optical fiber. So the first advantage is noise resistance. Okay. Now the second one is less signal attenuation. Less signal attenuation means it is offers, you don't have, now as they have told, you should understand, you should refer it and come, what is the difference between interference, noise and attenuation. Did anybody see that? I have told you should understand what is the difference between interference, noise and attenuation. Okay, if nobody has referred it, refer it today, and tomorrow you have to just inform me what is the difference between all the three terms. Okay, so attenuation, less signal attenuation means, as comparing with the twisted cable as well as the coaxial cable, it can cover more distance. Okay, now that was the twisted pair as well as the coaxial cable, that was limited only to a few kilometers. But here, the fiber optics, making use of fiber optic, the signal can run over miles. That is approximately of about 50 kilometers. You don't require any regeneration of the signal up to 50 kilometers. So, and also the attenuation, the reduction in the amplitude of the signal is less. Okay. Now, typically that attenuation will be 1 dB per kilometer. It is less than 1 dB per kilometer. Okay. So that is the second advantage of this optical fiber. Now, the third one is higher bandwidth. As you all know, it supports higher bandwidth, and hence the data rate is very high. Okay. So these are the, major advantages. You have got other advantages also. So the first one is noise resistance. Noise resistance means, since light is the transmission, since you are making use of light as the thing, then noise is not a factor there. Now, second advantage is less signal attenuation. The third one is higher bandwidth. See, once the advantages and disadvantages is asked, you should point out the things in a clear manner. Then only you will be getting the marks. Okay. Now, next is the enormous capacity. That is the other advantage of this optical fiber. And it is low transmission loss. Okay, that is the same like what I have told before. It is of less transmission loss and enormous capacity it can handle. And the capacity is very high. Now, cables and equipments have small size and weight. Now, what is the meaning of small size? Small size means, as you know, what is the diameter of the fiber? When you are comparing the other cables, the diameter of the fiber is very, very small. Okay, so there are more number of fibers can fit into a cable, into an optical cable. So that is the meaning of that. Small size means the diameter of the fiber is much smaller when you are comparing to the other cables. Now, other one is lightweight. Lightweight means yesterday I have told fiber cables, what are the materials, what it is made up of? It is made up of glass or plastic, silica, glass or plastic. And when you are comparing with copper or aluminium, this is very light. So it is of less weight. Understanding? That is the one advantage. So the cables and equipments have small size and weight. Small size in the sense, since the thickness of the fiber is very less, it is small in size. More number of fibers can be incorporated in an optical cable. Now, the next one is the weight. Since you are making use of glass or plastic, then it is of, since it is lighter than the other conductors, then it is of light weight. Okay. Now, immunity to interference. That we have already seen. Interference is not much, not there in case of optical fiber. Now, next is the storage space. Storage space, it requires a good, more, it won't require. It is immune to all this external interference. And the other one is the security. Security means this optical fiber, it has been incorporated in for the banking, for computer networks, for military systems. So security fiber cables, they are more secure than the other cables. So they are making use in banking, computer networks and military systems. Okay. Now, it is also very safer and easier to install and maintain. Okay. So these are some of the advantages of optical fiber. The first one is, what is the first one? Noise resistance. Second one, less signal attenuation. Third one is higher bandwidth. Fourth one is small size and weight. Then enormous capacity. Transmission loss is very less. Isolation is, crosstalk and all the things, it is avoided in case of this optical fiber, and it is more secure than the other cables. Okay, so if these many advantages are there for the optical fiber, it has got some disadvantages also. Now, what are the disadvantages of optical fiber? The first one is the cost. Cost means initial setup cost is very, very high in case of this optical fiber. Means it is very expensive. Yesterday I have told the light source required at the center side. It can be an LED or it can be a laser diode. So now what is the cost of a laser light source? The cost is of about thousands of dollars. So it is much greater when you are comparing with the electrical signal generators. So that is the first disadvantage. Cost-wise, it is very, very expensive. Now the second one is maintenance. Maintenance or installation. You require an expertise. Repairing and maintenance of this fiber optic cable is very difficult. If something happens, it is, you require an expert person to maintain, to do the repairing as well as the maintenance work. Now, the third disadvantage is fragility. Fragility means it is, since you are using glass fiber, it can be broken, right? And it is where hardware portability, if you want to transfer from one place to another, then this type of, optical fiber is very, delicate. So it is not used for applications where hardware portability is required. So these are the three disadvantages of this optical fiber. One is cost, it is very expensive. The initial cost for setting up, it is very, very expensive. And second one is you require an expertise for the maintenance as well as the repairing of this fiber optic cable. And the third one is fragility. It can be easily broken when you are comparing with that of the wire. Right? Understood? Now, what are the applications of, optical fiber, what are the benefits? I have just told the data rates. It can support high data rate that is in the range of gigabits per second. Data rates of hundreds of gigabits per second. That is the meaning of greater capacity. Okay, and as I told earlier, it is smaller size and weight, lower attenuation, and electromagnetic isolation is there. Now, what are the applications of this optical fiber? Where it is being used? First one is long haul trunks. Long haul trunks. Now, what do you mean by trunk? Trunk means it is a link that carries many signals at the same time. Trunks are nothing but it is a link that carries many signals at the same time. So long haul trunk means the word is suitable. I mean, in telecommunication, you will be making use of this word. Long haul trunk means the circuits that span across a large distance. Understanding? Long haul trunk means it is a circuit or it is a public switch network that span across a large distance. As far as military communication as community is considered, this long haul trunk means it can be the communication between the users in a national or a worldwide basis. The one which is extended over large distance. You understand that? What is the meaning of long haul trunks? The other one is metropolitan trunks. Okay. Now the third one is rural exchange trunks. And the fourth one is subscriber loops. Subscriber loops means between your house and local exchange, you are making use of this optical fiber cables. And the last one is for local area networks. Okay, so these are the applications of optical fiber. First one, it is used in long haul trunks, metropolitan trunks, rural exchange trunks, subscriber loops, and LANs. Understanding? Understood? What are the benefits? What are the applications? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this optical fiber? Understood? Yes, okay. So we have, for the time being, I'm just stopping here the physical layer, that is the guided media. Now it is a homework that is left for you to read from the text, the unguided media. I think you have already studied that unguided media thing like propagations, like skywave propagations, etc. And all. Just read the textbook, you will clearly understand. I don't know whether it will be asked, but just summarize, read it and understand what is the meaning of unguided media. Okay, so second unit started with the physical layer. Physical layer is the bottommost layer of the internet model. Now, the main important function of the physical layer is to provide service to the data link layer. That means whatever data is in the data link layer, you can call it as a frame, and that is nothing but a sequence of zeros and ones. So you should convert these sequence of bits into a suitable form. That is, you have to convert it into a signal in order to transmit it from the sender side and the receiver side. Okay, and that physical layer takes the responsibility of that. Okay, now the second one is it is dealing with the how the data is being passed, the different types of transmission modes. It is taking care of that. Physical layer takes care of that also. And also this medium is under the control of physical layer. Physical layer determines how it has to go, what is the medium you have to make your, whether it is how it is the devices is being connected. So all the things are dealing by the or taking the responsibility by the physical layer. Okay, so physical layer you had to study about the two things. One is the guided and unguided media. Guided I have completed, that is 3 types you have got. One is the twisted pair, the other one is coaxial cable, and the fiber optic cable. Usually in question papers, if you are referring, you won't get an essay from this part, but it is asked many types, the applications, advantages, disadvantages of each one. Okay, so you should remember the correct advantage, disadvantage, and applications of each cable. Like now, why twisting is required, now what is the advantage of coaxial cable, now disadvantages of optical fiber or advantages of cable, like this type of questions will be asked in case of this transmission medium. Okay, now just we will move on to data link layer. Okay, data link layer. Is anybody remembering what is the importance of data link layer? That is the, which layer is that? Data link layer? Neeraj. Which layer is the data link layer in an internet model? Neeraj. Not answering. Okay. Then Afla. Yeah, tell. Which layer is the data link layer? You have got how many layers in that internet model or in the OSI model? 7 layers. Out of that, which layer is the data link layer?
Layer 2.
Layer 2. Okay. So, layer 7 is the application and layer 1 is the physical layer. So, above the physical layer is the data link layer. That is nothing but layer 2. Now, Vaishna is there? Vaishna? No.
Miss.
Yeah, tell what are the responsibilities of data link layer? What is the main responsibility of data link layer? Throwaten varnu poyo? See, you should remember what are the different functions of each layers. Very, very important. See, that means you are writing the assignment simply. Just copying and writing without understanding the thing. Answer it. What is the response? What is the function of data link layer? Vaishna. Then Nachiket. Nachiket.
Yes, miss.
Yeah, tell what is the function of data link layer?
Provide services to network layer.
Okay. Then
Framing.
Framing, very, very important. Okay. Then
Flow control.
flow control, error control. Okay,
Error.
that all. Okay, thank you. Now that all the things you are going to study in detail about, I mean, in this module. So data link layer is responsible for node-to-node communication. Okay, so as far as data link layer is considered, the two main functions, as Nachiket has told us, one is the data link control. Data link control. The other one is the media access control. So he has splitted it and told, but generally the two main functions of data link layer are the data link layer are the data link control and the media access control. Now, what is this data link control? Data link control deals with the design and procedure for communication between nodes. I told data link layer is responsible for node-to-node communication. So you have to make use of a procedure or you have to make use of a design to have a communication between the nodes. And that is the function of data link control. Okay, so data link control, it deals with the design and procedure for node-to-node communication or communication between nodes. Understanding? So that is the first main function of data link control. Now, data link control, as Nachiket has told, that includes framing, error control, then line discipline, flow control, etc. Okay, so these subcategories, sub-functions are coming under the data link control. I repeat, you have got two main functions of data link layer. One is the data link control and the medium access control. Now, data link control, its functions include, the first one is framing, error control, then flow control and line discipline. Okay. Now, the second main function of this data link layer is called the medium access control. Now, medium access control means it is responsible for providing or resolving access to the shared media. The meaning is, if you have two or more devices connected on a network, now who has got the privilege to transmit at a particular time? What others has to do? So all these are the responsibilities of this medium access control. So its function is, it is responsible for resolving access to the shared media. If there is a confusion in finding out who has to transmit at a particular time, and that is resolved by making use of the medium access control. Okay, so these are the two main functions of data link layer, that is data link control, and another one is the medium access control. Okay, now you are going to study one second, let me share the screen. Hope the slides are visible to you. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now, so we will be dealing with framing now. Framing, what is that? What does it mean actually? So framing, it discusses how you have to organize the bits which are carried by the physical layer. I told data unit in a data link layer, you can call it as a frame, and the frames are nothing but they are the sequence of ones and zeros. Now all these bits, they are taken care by, they have to be transmitted, and that is, you have to convert it into a suitable form, and that is taken care by the physical layer. Okay, so framing means how you have to organize the bits such that the physical layer is able to transmit that. Okay, now in data link layer, as you already studied, how the bits are packed. The bits are packed in the form of frames. Okay, now each frame, you have got many number of frames, and each frame, they are separate from the others. So you can, each frame, it consists of sequence of bits. You have got a number of frames, and each are separated from one another. As an example, this framing is similar to your postal service. Now, postal system, what is the, in postal system, what we will do? We will be writing a letter, we will be putting it in an envelope. So what is the meaning? Inserting a letter to an envelope separates one piece of information from the other, right? You are separating. You are writing the letter, you are putting it in the envelope. The meaning is the two things, that is, you are separating one piece of information from the other. Okay, so here envelope, it acts as the delimiter. Delimiter in the sense boundary. So envelope is acting as the delimiter or the boundary. So each envelope, now what we will be writing in the envelope? We will be writing your source address as well as the receiver address. The sender address as well as the receiver address. The framing is also of the same type. Now framing in data link layer separates a message from one source to a destination or from other messages to other destination by adding a sender address and a destination address. This is what I just told about the postal system. Postal system, you are inserting letter into an envelope. The meaning is you are separating one information from the another one. And here that envelope is the boundary. So similarly, framing means you are separating the messages from one source to a destination or several messages or other messages to other destination. Now, how we are writing, we will be writing the sender as well as the receiver address in the envelope. The same thing framing also does. It has also got a sender address and a destination address. Now, what does the destination address indicates? It defines where the packet has to go or where the frame has to go. Right? Now, sender address, if we are writing the sender address, it helps the recipient acknowledge the receipt. Okay, I have reached I have got the message. So if I want to give an acknowledgement to the sender, then the sender address is a must. Okay, so this is the concept of framing. So framing means it defines a procedure or how you have to organize the bits so that it can be handled by the physical layer. Okay, now framing, it separates a message from one source to destination or other messages to other destination, and you will be making use of a sender address as well as a receiver address. Okay, now when the data link layer is considered, I have told each frame is separable to another frame. But what happens if is it possible for the whole messages, if it is involved in a frame, can be involved in a frame or included in a packet? All the message. So what all messages, what is it what message you want to send, if such type of message, if it is packed in a single frame. It is possible, but normally it is not done. Now, what is the reason why you are splitting the frames and sending? Right? Now, the reason is frame will be very large. Suppose if the message is very large, then the frame size also it exceeds. The meaning is you don't, the flow control as well as the error control, you will be going to study what is flow control and error control. Now you just understand that will be inefficient if you are sending the frame if you are sending the message as a single frame. And also this, you cannot. So sometimes if error can happen in that frame. So what happens if one bit has changed? Now you have to replace the whole message, right? Understanding? Now what happens if you're splitting it and sending? Now, if an error occurs, only that frame you have to replace. So that is the advantage you are splitting the frame. Okay, so that is the concept of framing. Framing means the whole message you can pack it and send as a frame, but that is not normally done. You are splitting it and then sending it. The thing is, when a message is carried in one very large frame, one single bit error would require the retransmission of the whole message. You have to retransmit the whole message if one bit has got an error. Okay, but if it is divided into smaller frames, now what is the advantage? This single bit error affects only that small frame. Okay, so you are dividing it and sending. I hope you understood what is the concept of framing. Framing means I have told you how you have to organize the bits. Now you have got two types of frame. One is called the is fixed size? There's no need of defining the boundaries of the frames. What is the size of the framing? That only represents the boundary. Okay. The other one is called it as the variable size frame. Variable size means the size is varying. You cannot predict. So what you require is you want to define where the frame starts and where the frame ends. End of the frame and beginning of the next frame. Okay, so you should be able to identify where is the starting of that frame and where is the ending of the frame. Understanding? So in order to understand that, you have got two approaches. One is called it as the character oriented approach or the protocol. The other one is called the bit oriented approach. I repeat, the variable size framing, you have got two approaches in order to define the end of the frame as well as the beginning of the next frame. And one type of approach is called the character oriented approach. The other one is called the bit oriented approach. Okay, so what I told up to now is about the data link layer. Now anyone has to summarize what is today's topic. So just understand what I'm telling. Okay, so data link layer is responsible for node to node communication. It is the second layer of the internet model. Now you have got two main functions of this data link layer. One is the data link control and another one is the MAC, that is medium access control. Data link control, it has got its sub functions like framing, error control, flow control, etc. Now I have told about framing. Framing means you have to organize the bits in a correct manner. So framing does that. And these bits are carried by the physical layer through the transmission medium. Okay, now the data unit in data link layer, you can call it as a frame. The frame is, suppose if you have a long message, what you have to do is you are splitting it into different frames and then sending. Yeah, advantage is if an error is happening in between the thing, that can be corrected easily if you are splitting it and sending. Now each frame is separate from the other frame. Okay, now you have got two different types of framing. One is the fixed size framing, the other one is the variable size framing. Fixed size means the size is fixed. That means the size is acting as the boundary of separation. I mean, you can call it as a delimiter. Okay. Now, variable size framing, if you are making use of, you should identify where the frame starts and where the frame ends. Okay. So, two approaches you have got. One is called the character oriented approach or the protocol. The other one is the bit oriented protocol. Understood this much? I have told the fiber optics advantages, applications, and also about framing concepts in data link layer. Neeraj is there?
Answer.
Summarize it, what you have learned today. Make it fast because the time is up. Yes, summarize it. What we have learned today.
Optical fiber.
Optical fiber. Optical fiber nada. Enda padiche.
Advantages.
Advantages. Now, what are the advantages of optical fiber?
Noise resistance.
Okay.
Less signal attenuation.
Okay.
Higher bandwidth.
Okay. Then, enormous capacity, small size and weight. Okay. After that, what you have learned?
Oh.
After that, what you have learned? So, next class, Neeraj will be the next class, that means day 3, Neeraj will be summarizing the topics what we have discussed in today's class. Okay, be prepared for that. And afternoon 2:30, register numbers 1367, you have to be online in the class. And you also should find out the difference between interference, noise, and attenuation. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.